What's good, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the channel. As today, this won't be your typical dive into training camp with the Kansas City Chiefs. I kind of have a question I want to pose to Chiefs Kingdom, and I had a topic that's on my mind that I think would be interesting to throw out to you guys. But before we do pose this question, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's dive right in. So, one of the main reasons I created this channel was to basically voice my opinions on anything Kansas City Chief related, because to be honest, they're on my mind more than they should be, and a lot of different scenarios pop in my head, probably with every Chiefs fan, and I like to air my opinions out and then have you guys discuss it with me and see how you feel, and then we can go back and forth with it. And today, I kind of had an interesting scenario in my head. I don't want to say it happened today, but it's something that's kind of stuck in my head and kind of wanted to pose the question, so we'll dive right into it. So, ever since Tyreek Hill got traded, everyone knows there's this huge, big question mark around the Kansas City Chiefs, where it's, what is Kansas City gonna do to replace him? But I'm gonna take it a step further, because we know we got a great wide receiving core, at least what it looks like in paper, at least what it looks like in training camp too, with the additions of Juju, drafting Sky Moore, and the additions of MVS and Mecole Hardman looking like he's taking it to another level. I'm going to put the spotlight on two players, and I'm going to foresee the future, at least in a positive way, because that's what I like to do. You got to stay positive with the Kansas City Chiefs, because we're going to win the Super Bowl, and that's how you got to feel with it. But with Juju and Mecole Hardman, we both know they're in contract years, and we all know contract year is undefeated. So with that being said, let's say Juju goes for 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. And let's say Mecole gets around that. Let's say Mecole has his best season ever with the Kansas City Chiefs, which will put him around double-digit touchdowns and 1,000 yards receiving. At the end of the year, with both of their contracts up, who would you want to keep? Now, I really thought this thoroughly through, and I was thinking heavily into it. And honestly, I think even with both of them having breakout years, I still think they can be affordable, because maybe not Juju, but more of Mecole, because Juju has displayed he can do it in the past. And nothing to slight against Mecole Hardman either. He's proven he is a threat in this league, but if he puts it all together, he will take his game to the next level. But I think the value-wise, Juju would probably be higher. But I don't think both of these receivers, if they that'd be messed up, like they decide, hey, we're going to go crazy and go off. But let's say they have the year that we all anticipate them to have, and they go crazy, I don't think they would still break the $25 to $30 million a year, which I think puts Kansas City in a great market, to where we're paying Juju $8 million this year, and I think Mecole, he's still on his rookie contract, so he's ready to see a big, good-time contract, and that's why he's going to try to ball out this year. But I think both of these players can average in between the $15 million to $20 million a year. Now, I could be crazy, because we know this changes every year, and you can't predict what the salary cap is going to be like. Shit, we didn't even know the wide receiver market was going to bust like they did this year until Tyreek, Devontae. Well, Christian Kirk started it when he basically didn't deserve that money. But honestly, if Mecole goes off, I think he's a better asset than Christian Kirk, so he could demand more than that too. And the same with Juju. So if you had to decide, what one would you lean towards keeping? Because even with them both being great, they both display different kinds of abilities for this offense. They're both different type of receivers. We know that Juju is that physical receiver, where Mecole is that dynamic threat. And it's hard for me to think of it through. That's why I'm hoping. It's weird. I want them to go off, and I want them both to get over 1,000 yards. And then it puts Kansas City in a dilemma, a really good dilemma, though, to where you got to pay both, or you let both walk, or you try to find a way to get this corrected, which Brett Veach, we know he always finds a way to make sure Kansas City has the best team the following year. So there's no issue there. It's just my ultimate decision I came up with is, if you can get Juju around 15 to 20 million a year, because I think Juju will be the more expensive if he goes off, and you can get Mecole between the 13 to 15, lower tier, and then you get both of them still 30 million a year combined, and let's say you get them to a 3-year contract, and that basically averages out the remaining of Sky Moore's rookie deal, and you can run with those three for the next 4 years. That's a great receiving core for Mahomes too. And like I mentioned in the past too, we don't know how much longer Travis Kelce has. I hope he has another 2 to 3 years and he decides to go off and keep doing what he does. If he decides to keep playing in the NFL, I have no doubt that he's going to keep being a 1,000-yard receiver. But let's say he does tend to retire early. It's best to keep a nice core around Mahomes. That way, when Travis Kelce does retire, it's not that big of a drop-off. It's going to be interesting to see how it proceeds forward, but that would be my best case scenario. Will it happen? Highly unlikely. I do think both of these receivers are about to have their best year, and I know that's saying a lot for Juju because he's had 1,400 yards in this league and double-digit touchdowns. I think his best, complete year to where people are like, oh, he still got it, and that means a lot to Juju, and I know he's going to fight for that too. It's interesting to see because we mentioned all these players on basically prove-it deals for the Kansas City Chiefs, and if they all tend to ball out, it puts Kansas City in an interesting situation going into 2023 to try to rebuild this roster, re-sign players. I know I'm probably thinking too ahead in advance, but that's where my head goes with this team. I'm already predicting amazing things, and I'm predicting this receiving core is going to be better than ever just because of what it's displayed in training camp. And I feel like just because Tyreek is gone doesn't mean it has to be a drop-off. Yes, he is one of the best, if not best receivers. I still believe that. If you don't want to say receivers, best weapon in this league where defensive coordinators have to game plan for. But if you put a Juju and a Mecole, they get it together, and a Sky Moore starts bouncing off as a rookie too, it's going to be an interesting year for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know they will want to last that. They would want that receiving core to last more than a year. So Chiefs Kingdom, that's the question I'm going to pose to you. If Mecole Hardman and Juju Smith both go off for over 1,000 yards and close to double-digit touchdowns, who are you wanting to keep in the future? Let me know in the comments down below. But with that, I'm going to check out. Y'all take care, but before we do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and have fun in the comments. Let's discuss it.